So like Mr. E, right? Mr. E is weird. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's a really cool villain that they introduced in season 8, and there's a lot of like mystery Mr. E surrounding him, but it never really gets paid off in any meaningful way. And then in season 9, he just like dies. He's really interesting, and I really like him, at least as a concept, and I think most people do, but it's real weird. He's got a lot of history surrounding him. In the show, it's pretty straightforward. He is one of the generals in the Sons of Garmadon. He is the counterbalance to Ultraviolet's total insanity. He doesn't talk, very mysterious. He's supposed to be this sort of red herring for who is the quiet one, because he doesn't talk, so like, ooh, quiet. Eventually, we, along with Zane, realize that he's a robot, which is like a big story move. He talks backwards, which is just a solid concept. That seems like a good setup for going into season 9, but he doesn't really do much, and then they kill him off, so kind of some wasted potential there. Thing is, there's a lot more that didn't make it into the show. When the show was airing, people were theorizing who this mysterious new robot character could be, and a lot of people thought it might be Echo.
When Zane's father was trapped here, he must have built a replacement Zane.
And those suspicions super heightened when, in his death scene, all these like rusty gears start falling out of him, which definitely makes more sense if it's Echo. But again, that's the end of his journey. There was nothing after that. And it was eventually confirmed through the creators of the show that originally he was supposed to be Echo.
The bad guy, Mr. E, turns around, his crash helmet has fallen off, and this is where we see it's Echo Zane.
So you didn't know it was Echo Zane originally?
No, I didn't know.
Oh,
I know
okay.
when I read the script, it was like, it's Echo Zane?
Oh.
Those insane brothers.
We even have like storyboards and some early animation, I think, of the initial reveal scene. And this was something that was allowed to stay in the script for a while.
We took this into animatic and we took it into blocking, and you know, it was a thing for several episodes.
But eventually it was cut because it was determined it was just too complicated. Reintroducing Echo means having to go back and address Skybound.
Gross!
Which is a season which was erased from pretty much everybody's memory. And Tommy explains that it just really would have derailed things, which is true.
Him getting the information in a scene like this would massively affect the story of Sons of Garmadon, because this is something he would tell the other ninja, and then that whole thing about a timeline that was you know, undone becomes a major thing. So you can see something like that can really derail a story, which is Sons of Garmadon has a very tight focus.
Tommy did say that like bringing stuff up from past seasons would be a problem when you have this influx of new viewers.
One of the things with Sons of Garmadon and with any episode or season of Ninjago is we want to make sure that this is something that is also good for a new audience.
But like, we're talking about seasons 8 and 9. You brought back like 10 elemental masters, and you're gonna say bringing back Echo is just too much? Like, you could have swung it. That reasoning is a bit hypocritical. There's a lot of people upset that this was cut. There's a lot of people that would have liked Mr. E to be Echo, either because they want Echo back or they think Mr. E is kind of pointless without it. Regardless, there's a definite fraction of people who still headcanon this or are hoping this will come back into canon at some point. And I'm not here to bash on those people. I have seen some awesome fan art of Echo as Mr. E. I'm sure there are great fanfics and stuff out there. And I have to admit, it is kind of a cool concept in theory, but I feel like I need to get my feelings out into the world because it genuinely drives me insane sometimes. Like, how did this idea get so far into development without any, like, actual story or structure backing it up? Now, I know Mr. E is kind of disappointing in canon currently. He has all this build up and little payoff. They don't really utilize him for anything meaningful story-wise. And then they kill him off. I will say that was a bad decision. I would not have killed him off, even in his current state. Maybe they'll bring him back. I mean, this series has a habit of bringing back robots and even non-robots.
She only wanted to bring my father back from the departed realm to destroy us.
So it's not off the table, but he's been out of the series for a while. Currently, he is an unutilized ball of potential, and that's not great. But making him Echo, I don't think would have been better. Now, before I get into this, I feel it's only fair that I acknowledge some things that would be cool if Echo was Mr. E. Bringing back Echo would be awesome. Echo is a cool character. I'm not as in love with him as some other people are, but I'd be down to have him back floating around Ninjago. This would also kind of tap into the sort of darker side of Dr. Julian, which is a whole section of the fandom. Again, I probably don't hate him as much as some people do, but I do think it's fair to criticize him a bit. Additionally, one excuse that people talk about in why Mr. E wouldn't work as Echo is that you would have to explain all of this stuff from Skybound to the newer audiences, which is just too much hassle, which is a problem. But it's less of a problem than it might be otherwise. Because season 6 was erased from everybody's memory, even if this happened closer to season 6, you would still have to have all of that expository dialogue anyway to catch the characters up. So including it for the audience as well wouldn't feel as forced.
And you're Skylar, daughter of Chen, master of Amber with the ability to absorb others' powers.
Which is definitely a point in favor of bringing Echo back in any capacity. But there are just so many complications otherwise. First of all, it kind of grinds the story to a halt. It derails everything. We had this singular focus on bringing back Garmadon and harkening back to the Garmadon era, and Garmadon wasn't really around for Skybound, so roping that into everything just makes everything complicated. It's not impossible, but for a kids show, it's a lot. I did say that the exposition would make sense, but it's still exposition. You're gonna need a lot of exposition for this plot twist. Not to mention, it's a way less effective twist if Zane has no idea who Echo is.
You look like me. You're an android, a discarded replica.
Echo not only has to explain who he is, but how he's here, why he's changed so much since the last time that we've seen him. But then you've also got to explain to the characters who he was originally so that they can also notice the change. You've got to explain how Jay and Nia know him. You've got to at least briefly explain the whole season of Skybound.
Gross!
Get everybody caught up on that. Then you have to have some sort of justification for why they didn't go get him sooner. By the way, my headcanon is just their memory on the whole thing is spotty. They remember that it happened, but they don't remember everything clearly, so maybe they just forgot about the whole Echo thing. Like when you wake up from a dream and you're like, I remember that this happened, but I don't remember any of the details. Yeah, there were pirates and a wedding, I think. But we're in love again, so that's all that matters. And also, the Echo thing wouldn't be the main reveal of the season. He's a red herring for the main reveal. That belongs to Harumi. So maybe you'd want to postpone it until season 9, and then at that point, do you kill him again? But if not, then where does he stand? There's just a lot of twists happening in these seasons, and if you can't give his twist the proper screen time, it's gonna suffer, and it needs a lot of screen time. I don't know if you guys have watched the storyboards, but I cannot take that voice seriously.
Your reaction time is slow. Your tactics predictable. The outcome inevitable.
I don't know what explanation they had planned for Echo's voice change.
They wanted me to just do a Zane, a lower smooth voice. They didn't want me to do Echo Zane's voice, which actually was higher and goofier than Zane.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to explain. He's a robot. But just the evil Zane, voice,
Brother.
it's just kind of funny to me. But that might just be a me thing. Whatever. I will say, Tommy's pushing for less dialogue in that reveal scene.
There's less dialogue? Yeah, and in this version, I think there's less dialogue.
Definitely a good thing. Also, Echo is this weird old rusty robot, and he's got all of this black and red going on. The color palettes clash a little bit. It's the same problem with Pixel and her Samurai X suit. Her color was purple. She has purple on her face, but you have 20 different colors on her outfit and none of them are purple. Can we not be a little more synchronous with our character design? You could change her little face markings to be blue. We'd still know it was her. You could change Echo's metalwork to be black. That would be okay. We'd figure it out. You're gonna dump a bunch of exposition on us anyway. And then, here's my main problem. So, Echo is like the sweetest, kindest little flower child that the world ever created. So like, how did he turn into this? So there's two options here. The first one is Echo was sour about being abandoned on the island forever and grew vengeful and came to Ninjago to exact revenge upon Zane, because Zane took away his dad or something. And so he joins the secret enemy of the ninja as a whole, who are going to like destroy everything in order to get back at Zane? Is that what's happening? Or maybe he's just bitter at the entire world? But again, he's programmed to protect people, so like, how would we ever get to that point? At best, I can see Echo becoming like sort of a anti-hero wild card who like doesn't want to help the ninja but wants to protect people generally. And so his motivations are sometimes at odds with the ninja, but like they'd work together to serve the greater good because he still has the programming to protect people. I just can't ever see him joining a terrorist organization bent on bringing back one of the most evil people in Ninjago history. What is this? But you're probably yelling at the screen, hey, kitten, obviously he got reprogrammed. He's a robot. So like, yeah, that is an explanation. Harumi reprograms him. But like, doesn't that invalidate the whole thing? If Echo has been reprogrammed, then this isn't actually Echo. It's just Echo's body with Harumi programming inside. Any of the like deep angst that comes with the reveal is kind of invalidated. Like, does anybody look at the Cole hypnotized scene and like, oh man, this is so deep? Like, no, it's maybe fun plot-wise, but it's not meaningful. But it also brings up so many other questions. Like, how did he get back to Ninjago? If Harumi reprogrammed him, that means either he found his own way back to Ninjago for other reasons that we don't know and that require more explanation, or Harumi found him on a deserted island in the middle of the ocean, which she was sailing around in for reasons, bumped into this island, decided she was gonna get out and explore, found this like rusty old broken down robot programmed to help people, and was like, you're gonna be my new war general. Literally, Echo's thing is that he falls apart when anyone breathes on him. The amount of reinforcement that it would take to make him like a viable fighter is insane, on top of all of the reprogramming that you would have to do. And this explanation is so convoluted to me because Harumi has plenty of access to robot parts. Harumi wouldn't reprogram Echo, she would reprogram a Nindroid. You know, the like thousands of Nindroids that were deactivated all over the streets in season 3 that she probably would have had ready access to. It makes infinitely more sense than any convoluted Echo stuff. Even the voice thing makes sense, like maybe the Nindroid was damaged and that's why his voice box doesn't work. My personal headcanon is he's just some random Nindroid that she altered. This also gives you the opportunity, if you potentially wanted to bring back Cryptor, you could. There are a lot of people who really like Cryptor. Obviously, that's a huge level of convoluted coincidence that she happened to rebuild the general. Or I guess maybe she went looking for the remains of the general because she wanted a new general. I am just coming up with this logic like on camera right now. It actually makes a lot of sense. Either way, the Nindroids were based off of Zane's blueprints, so you could still have that moment where like the helmet comes off and it's a Zane face underneath. I know there's minifigures of the Nindroids and like the faces obviously aren't Zane faces, but like the sets aren't canon. You can still leave him voiceless because there's a lot less exposition that needs to come out of Mr. E in particular.
My father, he made you at first.
There's a lot less exposition in general. Like, I know you have to explain that the Nindroid army was a thing, but it's a lot easier to say like they got reactivated than he was on an island, and so Harumi went to this island and brought him back and reprogrammed him, and it's just like, hey, it's Cryptor. She reactivated him. It's still exposition, but it's less exposition. And the characters already know who the Nindroid Army and Cryptor are, so it's a lot easier to have them do exposition than relying entirely on Mr. E.
At first.
Also, you know, small thing, but the color schemes line up. The Nindroid Army had a red and black thing going on. It's a little more cohesive design-wise. And the Nindroid Army was built to be an evil Nindroid army. They were built to take orders, or if you want to look at it as Cryptor, built to give orders because Mr. E is a general, or if you want to think about it as like taking orders from Harumi. Plus, this way you can bring back Echo as himself and not as an like evil version of himself. And he can get like actual time and attention that he deserves as a character because he's interesting on his own. Maybe even over the course of whatever, Echo and Mr. E can become rivals. I don't know, whatever. I'm just saying there's possibilities. As is, I think revealing now that Mr. E was Echo would be a mistake as well. Like, you've already killed him off. Even if you are to bring him back, it feels weird and jumbled and kind of out of order. It's fine that he was a new character. New characters are fun. I love new characters. Ultraviolet is legitimately one of my favorite characters in the whole show. She's amazing. And I think Mr. E has the potential to be that good. And it would be so easy to bring him back because he is a robot and you've already established that he's a robot. All the pieces align for him to show back up again. I think revealing that he was Cryptor would again maybe be a bit much after resurrecting him, but I think revealing that he was an old Nindroid or made from old Nindroid parts wouldn't be too much of a stretch. He's still a new character, but he's made from pieces that we're familiar with, and to me that feels like it comes full circle. That would be the direction I would take it, because he is a really cool character, he has a lot of cool potential, and I really hate to see all that potential go down the drain. Next time you have a Zane season, throw him in there. Again, no disrespect to anybody who like really loves the Echo as Mr. E thing. It might have once upon a time maybe worked if they had some really good writing and a lot of things were changed, but as is, there's no way it would work in canon now, or if things in season 8 and 9 stayed relatively the same, which it looks like was the track they were going down.
At first.
So for me, I am personally very relieved that they did not put this in canon. I just wish they would have done the same thing for Zane as the Ice Emperor. That twist kills me. I can't. It's like bringing back Emperor Palpatine level, like, stupidity.
What about the time difference? How do you explain that?
I can't.
Like, it's just so dumb on so many levels, and I gotta do a rant about it sometime. I'll do that. Cheers to not over-relying on twists purely for shock value. May the show be entertaining enough that it can be predictable and still enjoyable. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. See you next time.